The Ryder Cup, must-see TV, but so is live from the Ryder Cup. You can see Brandel, Chamblee, Rich Lerner and company, and they're going to be there through Sunday at Bethpage Black. That's in Farmingdale, New York. He also does a podcast with his wife called The Favorite Chamblee. Brandel joins us on the program. How would you describe your relationship with Bryson DeChambeau?
Probably somewhat complicated now because that's just the nature of what I do and the nature of what he does. But I've enjoyed the time when I've been around Bryson DeChambeau. I've spent a little bit of time around him. 2 or 3 times we've played in golf tournaments going away back, and I've sat with him in a locker room once and talked golf swing for about a couple of hours during a swing break. I like Bryson. I enjoy his game. I say a lot of nice things about him, but the way the world works is they pick up on one negative thing you say about him, and it becomes a headline, and it becomes memes, and it gets back to him, and he probably thinks that I'm highly critical of him when I've mostly been complimentary of him.
Well, it did stand out earlier in the week when you were talking about him talking about doing videos for his YouTube channel, and he should be talking about the Ryder Cup team. Is that, am I summarizing that fairly?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I can't remember exactly what he was asked about, but he started talking about his YouTube channel, which, look, I get it's been a nice movement, and he's enjoying doing that. But at the time, it just struck my ear just a little bit odd. And then I made the comment where I said, I think he's probably a captain's nightmare. And maybe that wasn't the exact phrase I should have used. Maybe that was a little strong, Dan. Maybe what I should have said was he probably is problematic to pair with, or maybe he keeps a captain up late at night. Maybe nightmare was a little bit strong, Dan. I don't know. Have you ever said anything on the air where you're like, I'd like to grab that word back and take it back,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I caught a fair bit of scorn for that. I was like, yeah, that probably wasn't my best phrase. But the point is that he is problematic for a captain to pair with. Paul McGinley, who was a captain for Ryder Cup in 2014, said as much last night. He's like, he is one of those players. Well, if you just matching players for skill, you would pair like the best possible team the U.S. could put out tomorrow would be Scotty and Bryson DeChambeau, but they will
together.
Together. That not skill wise for this golf course. That's the best possible team that the USA could put out. They will not be going out tomorrow because there's compatibility. And I'm not saying that Scotty has got a problem with Bryson or Bryson's got a problem with Scotty. I'm just saying that, not everybody meshes up perfectly. You've got to consider things like personality and how amenable are they to changing equipment. Bryson has notoriously fickle about his golf equipment. We don't know if he's happy to or reluctant to switch golf balls to play a golf ball of his partner, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the kind of things, the foursomes is a tough thing to work in. Now, having said all that, I'd be equally surprised if Bryson didn't play 4 or 5 matches because he is clearly one of the top talents on this team.
Who's the alpha dog on each team?
The alpha is Scotty Scheffler. The alpha is Rory McIlroy on the European team. I wouldn't say Bryson's in beta too much to be an alpha,
There you go. You're putting out memes again.
No, well, look, he's always in beta. I'm testing this, I'm testing that, et cetera, et cetera. And I do love that bit about him.
But you're talking about, I'm talking alpha dog where there's emotion. This is about emotion. And Scheffler doesn't have that kind of emotion. Like Terrell Hatton has emotion.
Well, you're talking about fire.
Yes.
I'm talking about the ability to inspire a team with their play. And I think Scotty Scheffler is very underrated when it comes to his intensity. I think he burns like the sun on the inside. I really do. And we've seen it flare up from time to time, but you don't win as often as he does. And you don't show an inability to be in any way placated by money without the fire inside. That's what Tiger had. That was so extraordinary. You could not placate him with money. It didn't matter how much he made. He still wanted to beat you by 12, 15 shots the very next week. And I think Scotty definitely has that. And I think Rory definitely has that. It's not to say that John Rahm doesn't also. Look, John Rahm is an alpha as well. Yeah. I mean, this is a team of type A personalities all the way down the board, both sides. But when you're looking at the top of the top, to me, it's Rory and it's Scotty.
We talk about how the European team, camaraderie, galvanize, they understand, friendship, travel together, play together. Is it still that? Because, you do have the Live Tour involved in this, and maybe it's not as close-knit as it has been in the past, which was a big benefit for them.
Yeah, I think it's a little misleading to assume that the European teams have always just been, chummy. There's always been a little bit of friction within the European team room, and I think they've used that friction to their advantage. But there's also been tremendous buy-in. You got players over there that just say, I'll play wherever you want me to play. And I don't know that you get that kind of buy-in from the U.S. side. I'm gleaning what I can glean from the interviews I've heard and the stories I've heard. And you get tremendous buy-in on the European side. And one of the things I say, and I think that underscores just how much more buy-in you get on the European side than you get on the U.S. side, is that Sergio Garcia had to pay a couple $1 million in fines just to even be eligible for this team, and he willfully paid a couple $1 million just to be eligible. Now he's not on the team, but the United States team has demanded to be paid to play. Now, look, I mean, we can debate whether or not that's the right thing to do, but you have one side where players would pay to be on the team, and the other side where players want to get paid just to be a part of the team.
Talking to Brandel Chamblee, Golf Channel, their lead studio analyst, live from the Ryder Cup all this weekend. Yeah, you bring up the money part of it. How's this story get out? Because the first thing I thought is somebody from the European team leaking this out to make the American team look bad?
Well, there's a lot of people involved in this decision. I mean, the whole PGA of America would have had to talk about this. So that's an
Okay.
innumerable number of people. And then you're talking about, players and wives and caddies and everybody on the European side, because they're invested in this as well. And, this is a profitable property almost exclusively because Europe has risen up and more times than not beaten the American side when the American side has been the favorite. That's the larger part of the reason why this event is so compelling. And so Europe doesn't want any money. They've said as much. And the United States since 1999 has been talking about and wanting to get paid. And it came to a head, obviously, in Rome when allegedly Patrick Cantlay wouldn't wear the hat because he wasn't getting paid, which was reported by a great many people. And then I think written by Michael Bamberger.
Should they get paid?
I don't think so. I don't think it's asking too much. Well, first of all, they are getting paid. So the PGA Tour gets about $30 million a year every year they play the Ryder Cup, about $30 million a year that they take and put into the pension fund of the PGA Tour players, which grows tax-free for decade, for decade, for decade, for decade. So when you talk about getting paid, they're getting paid large sums of money. It's just deferred until probably when they'll never need it, but later on in their life. And most every single player, well, no, every player on the team would have bonuses, probably seven-figure bonuses in their contracts should they make the Ryder Cup team. So they are getting paid, but directly paid from the PGA of America, I think, look, it's not asking too much of these guys to 1 week a year to do something for the honor of playing for their country. People would argue, well, the PGA of America makes money. The PGA of America has 30,000 plus members, innumerable initiatives that they're all trying to fund. All of these entities that run these big events, Augusta National, the USGA, the R&A, they all make money from the events. They make a profit, but then they take that money and do a lot of great things with it. It's like the PGA of America is not buying Ferraris and private jets for their executives. They're taking the money and investing it in junior programs. Every single player on this U.S. team was touched by a PGA a PGA professional at some point, showed them how to put their hands on the club and gave them some reason to pursue this game.
More apt to have another act, Tiger or Phil?
Good question. I would say another act. You mean from a competitive standpoint?
Yeah.
On a big stage, I would probably say Phil. Unfortunately, Tiger busting his Achilles again. I don't know how you come back from that at 50 years of age, unless Tiger decides to ride a golf cart on the Champs Tour. And I don't know how that would play out in the U.S. Senior Open, because Tiger has won 3 U.S. Juniors, 3 U.S. Amateurs, and 3 U.S. Opens. If he were to go play, and I guarantee you it's a goal of his to go play the U.S. Senior Open and win it. But I don't know that he could ride a cart in the U.S. Senior Open, which you can on the Champs Tour. And I don't know even if they would let him ride a cart, if he would do it, because he has such a strong sense of fairness about him.
What about Phil?
Look, Phil could pop up at the Masters. Jack Nicklaus finished 5th there when he was 58 years of age. Phil still bombs it. Phil's still energetic, still youthful in his feverish pursuit of this game of golf. So, and he won a major at dang near 52 years of age. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Phil still acts like a kid again with a golf club in his hand.
We always talk about decorum at a golf course and being quiet and being respectful, but that's out the window this weekend. Can a crowd gallery go too far at the Ryder Cup?
They can absolutely go too far if they start screaming or yelling in guys' backswings. Let them play. I think there'll be some people kicked out this week for sure. If they start screaming at players' backswings, if they get profane, and personal. The whole, there'll be some good jeering out there. And I know the European side has prepared for this, going back to January when they were playing in a competition where it was Great Britain and Ireland against continental Europe. They do these as sort of previews for Ryder Cups. I think Luke Donald had a blaring system of, USA, 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 and he hired an American comedian to heckle them while they were hitting shots. So they've prepared for a hostile environment. I'm just not sure anybody could properly prepare for as hostile environment as I think they're going to get this week. If you were watching the opening ceremonies yesterday, the New York governor, I mean, my goodness. I mean, the boos were a fevered pitch, got me looking for the decimal level record for a stadium, which, by the way, is Arrowhead Stadium. It may reach that level this week.
Is this more about the mental aspect or the physical aspect?
I think that's the great thing about the Ryder Cup is it really does involve everything. Group dynamics at the highest level. How can you get these guys to come together as a team and buy into the decisions of the captain, which, and I think more than a few instances are going to go against the predictions of the players. And then, of course, there is the mental aspect of it, because it's mano a mano out there, and there'll be some gamesmanship. There already has been some gamesmanship. Luke Donald, I think, had a little gamesmanship yesterday in his opening remarks. The European team out on the range, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but instead of going to one end where the U.S. side could uniformly practice at another end, the European team went right in the middle. So the U.S. team had to split up and go to either side of them. I mean, that is absolutely gamesmanship by the European team. And so there will be little bitty gamesmanship moments out there. So it certainly becomes a mental test.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you. By the way, Rich Lerner right behind me with a cameo right here. We're in the trailer here, so say hi.
Hi, Rich. Hi, Rich.
All right, Dan. Take care.
All right.
Cheers.
Yeah. I saw Rich. He kept peeking over Brandel's shoulder. Rich, of course, is the host of Live from the Ryder Cup. You'll be able to watch that Friday through Sunday at Bethpage Black in Farmingdale, New York.